No.
So we do have Smurf on the Orisa, so it looks like, yeah, we are going into Sanctum for this next part. EnVision sitting on double projectile. So Buds and Jaru on the Pharah and the Junkrat, and take a look. I think this is our first Rina sighting for OpTic Academy.
It is our first Rina sighting, and it's very interesting. You do not have Gray in the mix right now, which is a little bit strange. The Ponzer is going to be out here. And what EnVision's looking for is explosive. Oh, you don't even need explosive power when you pull Smurf into the pit. There's no more Risa, which means that it's going to be very difficult for OpTic to deal with the spam. You got rockets on one end, Junkrat bombs on the other. You see those grenades just rolling their way on in, and EnVision, off of that early halt from Shiny, get a very quick take.
Yeah, very quick take, and this is where it becomes difficult as the Soldier 76 try to deal with all of this poke coming out. Now, we'll see how well they can manage these cooldowns, especially the shields of the Orisas right now. That's going to be most important because that's the only thing that's really going to block out a lot of this damage.
You have Sharp here in the 76, usually on the Tracer, but for now, laying in the damage from afar, takes a grenade to the face as Jaru, from the side, got the Ponzer in that last volley, picks up Sharp as well, the mine over the top, Jaru on a rampage!
Jaru on a rampage indeed. I mean, I'm more used to, of course, seeing him on things like the Genji, but right now, that Junkrat is doing so much work for them already. 40% secured by EnVision, and OpTic are still having a difficult time just trying to find any entry, find any damage to go across. Take a look. Rina's at 40% as a Junkrat.
Rina, 40%. OpTic looking for the way in. Rina still isn't healed up. He's not positioned to get topped off. He can't be as aggressive in this fight or he's gonna die. Nope, he chooses the option to die. Bud's caught him on the outskirts, so you're down your Junkrat early on. OpTic in all sorts of rough shape. They do not see what EnVision does right now, as EnVision easily takes his fight and aids Valkyrie going to be going to waste.
And still, Rina and Sharp are struggling to get any damage across. As a Soldier 76, you want to have already used a tactical visor, and especially as a Junkrat, you should be on your third Riptire at this point. Ooh, oh, Crimzo, one of those flex supports that we talk about quite frequently, who's able to get these entry frags.
Well, Sharp's going to be brought back up, so it's not the end of the world for OpTic here. OpTic going to be rotating around the edge, and Crimzo, the very early Transcend here, I think he was spooked towards the beginning. This is a good opening for OpTic. They're not even mid-fight. Now they can open up with the Transcendence of their own. Sharp coming around the opposite flank. Smurf goes down, not saved by the Transcendence. Oh my goodness, and here comes what could be the finisher, the tire from Jaru. Moving, looking for any targets, make sure the inside is clean, and it's clean indeed, takes down 2.
Yeah, that's a double kill, and his overtime ticks away. It's just Vol is able to make it back onto his mech, but instantly gets taken out, somehow survives, is not going to fall to the icy depths of Sanctum, but it's all EnVision on the kill feed. OpTic were able to flip that, but still, will they be able to make it onto the point? They are just juggled away by the mines, and they will not be able to. It's EnVision taking Sanctum 100-8.
Now, I've had some time to sort of think and process what we're seeing from OpTic here, and knowing their team reasonably well, I can guess 2 things here. One is that Keller was definitely having a bit of a slump heading into this. Maybe they decided, okay, it's time to give Rina a shot. Maybe Keller needs a little bit of time off. I don't know. We would find out more if we go into map number 2 and Rina's still playing. The second part for Ponzer being in is that I know Gray was out in LA for a little bit of filming recently, and as a result would have missed a little bit of scrim time. I wonder if the idea here is benching Gray because you scrimmed with Ponzer, but that's a little bit questionable in of itself just because Gray is such a strong talent and leader on the team. So I would expect both of them to be swapped in going to map 2, but so far this lineup does look weaker than what we've seen in the past.
Triple tank coming out from EnVision here, along with Buds on the Reaper. They're going to go straight for the point, are EnVision. OpTic, they do have that Pharah, but it's so difficult to try and get the damage across because of the ceiling here as that Pharah. And so OpTic, they have to be careful making their approach on in, especially with Buds right there getting the D-Mech onto Vol.
Well, the Hog sets things up. Buds is there for the finish, and OpTic right now just struggling to find a way in. Rina getting pretty much nothing with this fair in the situation. A little bit poked towards the side, but EnVision, this tankier comp, just dominating space. OpTic cannot find a way in right now, and they're gonna have to back off and reset.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if Rena actually sticks with this Pharah right now. All he's been doing is been spamming away at Shiny's shield. Now it is down, and he's going to try and recharge that, but still, you need this damage to stick, and you needed actually the damage to get across. This is the same problem that they ran into in Sanctum.
And at some point, you have to go, okay, maybe swap up, pulse bomb in, Eden, nom nom. And that is not exactly what Sharp was looking for there. McGravy on the case. And EnVision, resilient to the core here. Crimzo keeping everyone up, gonna drop the Coalescence. Beam in play, keeping everyone nice and healthy. iShiny gets in the wrong end of the barrage, but Rena pays for it with his life. And you see Jaru going up with the whole hog, tries to stop the resurrection, going for Mercy, and McGravy's there in the follow-through. And Vision continuing to dominate space as Jaru is having one heck of a Roadhog game. By the way, no Sombra in sight.
And OpTic keep extending out this fight longer than they really should. I mean, they go for the sound barrier, they go for the res, bring Rena back into this. That's allowing EnVision to just walk further away with this lead right now. They're at 62%, and this is where you want to be at with this composition. Buds, he has, of course, that Reaper Death Blossom ready, and so when OpTic Academy just try to jump onto the point, he's going to be able to just use that full force. Now, Rena has swapped off onto the Reaper himself.
Late swap to Reaper by Rena. Last chance here for OpTic in actuality, especially if they invest in ult. Rena under pressure here. You see the Death Blossom of Buds takes down 2! Just piercing on through the Angel of Death himself. EnVision denying OpTic, and OpTic now, even if they can get to a point again, is going to be problematic. I guess Smurf is in the area, he didn't die. He's going to have to hop in and sacrifice his life.
Shiny, he's got the Earth Shatter ready, 98, 99%, overtime ticks away as Sharp was able to get there. Earth Shatter does connect, Punzer will fall as Jaru has the follow-up for it, but taking out Sharp, and it's all EnVision here. Rena finally answers back, taking out Shiny, but that is not going to be enough for OpTic.
This OpTic changeup does not work in the least. EnVision, tanky on the point, works out in their favor. They take Nepal, and they take it easily.
I was thinking another reason why Rena and Ponzor could have been pulled in for this is it's pretty much assumed that both of these teams are going to be making it to playoffs. EnVision has been playing extraordinarily well this entire season. So it would make more sense, instead of just saying, well, nobody had the chance to scrim, or they were worried about this, it would be they want to see how Rena and Ponzor stack up against another playoffs level team. If these are considered alternates, they might be trying to see, okay, how often can we play them? Where are they strongest to be played? And that kind of thing to test them outside of a scrim situation.
I mean, I'm not sure the time for testing outside of a scrim situation is in your sort of must-win, secure number 2 match. I mean, look, you don't bench Tom Brady and bring in, not Jimmy Garoppolo. He'd be fine, but bring in someone else and be like, oh yeah, it's gonna be. It doesn't make a lot of sense.
But what's number 2 is, I mean, if they have to just make top 4 to be in playoffs,
but it's
right?
also like
it's about the better
the
matchup.
Best seed. Yeah, trying to get the best seed because it's going to be number 1 from Group B taking on number 4 in Group A. You just want to give yourself like the best opportunity to make it to the live finals.
Awesome. So we have a couple interesting plays here. This is Jaru coming in with Junkrat, and he was being answered by Junkrat, but his was a bit superior.
I mean, they just kind of walk into a lot of these grenades, honestly. Jaru, the first kill he got, it was just spam over the stairs, and then everyone else just kind of walked into it. The Soldier 76 tried to challenge him. I don't know why you would, especially that close up against a Junkrat. You don't know how many mines he has. He could have just been one-shot by the mines alone. It was really brave for that Soldier 76 to take it.
Yeah, and I mean, again, this new OpTic, or at least the change-ups that they made here, did not quite look like as strong of a team as when they were running their previous setup. EnVision, look, they haven't lost a step since last week where they dominated bye week. They are hungry right now, and frankly, they outplayed OpTic in just about every stage of the game. Even in the tank war, I'd usually rate Smurf above iShiny, and iShiny was playing really well, even winning the Orisa v Orisa battle, so this is an omen for OpTic right now. They have time to turn things around, but EnVision setting the tone on the ball.
Well, like you said, OpTic does have time to turn this around. How do you see that shaping out? What does it look like?
I mean, bring in Gray, probably bring back in Keller. I mean, even though Keller has been hit or miss, I just don't know about changing to this lineup this late in the season, at least against the team. I mean, if you're up against bye week, sure, but this is, it seems like a rough time for the roster change.
Yeah, at some points, though, it also seemed like EnVision kind of had a good read on what OpTic wanted to run. I don't think OpTic were expecting, especially if they're on Village, for Shiny to go over to that Reinhardt. I think they were fully expecting that it was going to be like a dive, a Winston Diva, and then from there, they were going to try and chunk down the tanks, of course, with the damage-boosted Pharah, but you can't do that up against the 2,000 HP shield.
Alrighty, well, we are going back to Numbani now. This is where we've seen quite a bit of trouble kind of coming through that second point. Where do you guys see the trouble coming in for OpTic on this?
Well, I mean, we'll have to see where it goes. Obviously, EnVision's one of the few teams that is comfortable running a Pharah here early on, and if they're not running a good hit scan presence to deal with that, that could be a problem. I mean, just be prepared. Yeah, Buzz is probably going to take to the sky, have an answer.
Any hot takes before we go to game?
I feel like OpTic's going to struggle a little bit, especially on point A offense, because they need that core dive, right? They need Sharp on Tracer. They need Keller there on the Genji. Without it, it can struggle. And we saw how Rina did struggle with that Pharah trying to deal with just the Reinhardt.
Alrighty, well, let's check it out. Going into game, first off for Numbani, this is EnVision v OpTic Academy, where EnVision leads 1-0.
Okay, so we do have some swap-ups here. Gray is back in action, and this makes all the sense in the world, especially with the way that Gray-led offenses tend to work here and begin with, where you might even see Gray swap onto a DPS, which he does often early on the first point in Bonnie, but this time looks like it's maybe a little bit more standard, but Rina is still in for Keller.
Yeah, it's just standard across the board. It's going to be a Soldier 76 Tracer hold coming up from EnVision, while OpTic Academy, they're going for just the regular Numbani dive here. So look for them to try and get onto Jaru, try him, force him off the high ground, and then from there go to the point and force EnVision to fight them there.
OpTic going in over the right side. Rina just again moving in, and you see EnVision try and rotate away. Buds is very close to getting picked up. Fire in danger, cut down by Rina. The poke works out, and Rina making his presence known. A nice double kill as both supports out of the fight. OpTic gonna pretty easily cruise to this first point.
Yeah, that was an interesting rotation coming out from the EnVision defense. Generally, you don't see people start moving over towards that hallway unless there's an Ana in play. Generally, you just give up the high ground and you fall back and you kite through main. But instead, they decided to go to that hallway, and you don't want to go into that hallway because, well, there's so much AoE. You saw when Rina dashed in, it was through about 3-4 people, and that was a lot of damage. That means he's got his blade.
Yeah, and the early blade cannot be underestimated, especially on Numbani, which is definitely set by momentum. Rina has the orb on him right now, as both orbs, actually. His heart is completely in chaos. Wow, Raw Blade, no fear in this man, diving to the back. Shiny's gonna fall, Sharp's all in there as well. The strike by OpTic connects, and they get rid of both tanks. Continually moving forward, looks completely different than last map.
Most definitely a change of pace now coming out from OpTic Academy, just going for this full-out dive. It is working. Rina has been working wonders so far on this Genji, although we're only about 2 minutes into this match now. About 4 meters away. Will they go in for the contest? They are. OpTic Academy now just mere meters away from getting second.
The feel is when Winston, where you gotta stand the point, but you get the Transcendence to back you up. EnVision looking for any kill during this. Transcendence almost done. Aid now can drop the beat and does. Reads the situation quite well. OpTic moving in the other way. They were forced out a bit by the self-destruct, but see Jaro getting bopped around. Under pressure, pocketed all the while. Vol gets Shiny out of the fight, explodes him one day from Sunday, and EnVision can't stay on the point. OpTic takes it and throws them back.
Now OpTic Academy continuing to march forward with this momentum, get a great stagger onto Fire, and so they've got 5 minutes and 40 seconds here. EnVision, they committed so much into that last fight now, and so they're going to have difficulties trying to deal with this. Rina, he's going to have the blade possibly before Crimzo can even get up that Transcendence, and so it's going to be down to Crimzo. He needs to get some damage off right now to try and counter Rina.
Rina has looked much better in Genji than he did on anything in the previous map, so far this has been a good look. Again, a super aggro blade to the back. Forced out the Transcendence, which would have been fine if he got out alive, but instead Rina gets stuffed. The momentum shifts the other way. EnVision, off a well-timed Transcendence, easily turns the tide.
It wasn't just even a well-timed Transcendence, it was a well-timed kick that got him the final percentages to get that Transcendence. Rina had the first blade, of course, slash onto Crimzo. Crimzo gets the kick. That's what allows him to get the Transcendence and just counter that wholesale out now, so EnVision will be able to stabilize.
EnVision getting a moment to take their breath. And of course, it's last point in Bonnie. You can take nothing for granted in this sort of situation. OpTic, again, just poking. They have Transcendence to use at any point, and Gray, he's had enough. Uses the Transcendence, chasing down McGravy now is Sharp, looking for the D-Mech. McGravy able to get out there. EnVision, they're beaten, but everyone is still alive. They're able to deal with the poke. Smurf goes too far, and now McGravy builds up the self-destruct, can drop it the other way, and yet he doesn't need to. A very good disengage from EnVision sets the tone.
Yeah, that was excellent kiting out from EnVision there. McGravy surviving with the mech was probably the most important thing because OpTic, they knew that the threat of the D.Va was always there, so they couldn't go as far as they wanted to. They couldn't go after the supports because the peel would have been there from McGravy, and so OpTic were just completely dissuaded from that push. Now it's going to be Jaru this time with the Blade. And Gray and Aid, they do not have either of their ultimates here, so we got to look towards Jaru.
Jaru the one to watch for the defense, and why not? As you mentioned, it's going to be while until Gray doesn't Transcend, and even a Valkyrie doesn't really stop a Genji from doing what he wants to do. He's going to dive in, 30 HP, 6 HP, a deflection on the edge. Jaru's going to fall. He misjudged that one, and OpTic moving the other way. A blade out from Rina this time, diving back, supported by the self-destruct. Forces out the Transcend, but EnVision is wounded. Their glasses are broken, and OpTic moving their way forward, and that sound barrier coming in only hit 2. It was just Fire and Crimzo getting aided by that bomb in, gets Fire. OpTic moving their way in, but they lost Sharp. That's problematic when you're trying to close this out.
Primal Rage, though, is batting everyone away. They're trying their best to get bodies onto point R EnVision, and in this scramble, that's going to allow Smurf to get the D-Mech onto McGravy, and you desperately need that D.Va Mech in on this fight. Smurf does drop here, but still, it's a trade, and it's Bud's coming back alive on this Tracer now.
Bud's back into the fight. Rina looking for cleanup. Rina gets the cleanup. Dash resets in on the point. 3 kills for Rina, and this is fight time for Sharp. Make it 4. Rina's Genji coming in style where, okay, I think back on Nepal wasn't his best showing, and perhaps there are multiple reasons for that, but you put him on the Genji, that was an impressive Genji showing.
That was, I mean, there was only one moment where he got really shut down, but it was just because they were on a little bit of a power trough. They had to counter all the support ultimates coming out from EnVision, but you know, 2 minutes and 39 seconds left in their time bank. That is a respectable time, to say the least, for OpTic Academy. Now, it's going to be EnVision on the offense. We'll see what OpTic want to run for their defense. It's going to be Rina on Soldier 76, just a traditional defense coming out from OpTic.
It's a double hit scan defense, and EnVision can probably feel lucky that they're not running a far into it. Not that you couldn't make it work, but it's usually better to not try it in that situation. So EnVision going to be running this, of course, very standard dive. Winston D.Va, backed up by Tracer Genji. Doesn't get more homogenous than that. Then, of course, the defense for OpTic Academy, also very standard to Nambani. So neither team being very adventurous here, but both just being stable.
Yeah, again, it is, of course, basically playoff hopes on the line, seeding on the line. You really don't want to test the waters too much with newer compositions here. Just going to go ahead and play tried and true compositions that you have worked out beforehand. And now EnVision on their defense, like I said, they kind of rotated oddly when the dive came out. Instead, they allowed themselves to get cornered up. We'll see how OpTic Academy catch the dive that come out from EnVision this time.
EnVision, again, they don't have to do anything crazy here. And a key for OpTic, of course, is that you see Gray. Gray's going to be holding really far in the back. Rina's going to be supported all the while. EnVision, your goal here is you dive in with Shiny and McGravy, you get on Rina and Gray in the back, and make that your play.
As the gates unlock, the dive, we'll see EnVision go for the high ground here. Try and force back OpTic Academy behind this wall. Rina did take some poke, but he will instantly get healed up by Gray. Oh, Vol has used his booster, so that does mean they can't go in now, but they're taking a little bit of a different approach out from EnVision's dive.
EnVision?
Oh, no.
Well, EnVision, they've already gotten really nice high ground here in the moment. You see Crimzo to the left. The supports are super, super well protected. OpTic has given up a lot of room. This is not the amount of room you want to give up early on. They lose Sharp, and I'm not quite sure what OpTic's position was here, but they bend back as they usually do. They end up with McGravy and Jaru falling, and now they can move back the other way. And they haven't given up a tick here just yet, so it ends up working out despite giving so much room to EnVision. Because EnVision, I think, to a degree, overdove. All they had to do is play the point and make OpTic move back into them, but they chase after OpTic, and they sort of activate their trap card.
There was a moment there where Aid could have fallen. He was stuck on the wall. on the high ground, as we see right across from Smurf. He was in the middle of both takes of EnVision. He walked away with about 30, 40 HP. If they could have gotten that elimination onto Lucio, this could have been a completely different push now. But they're going to have the sound barrier, they're going to have the nano boost, and it's going to come out onto Smurf.
Meanwhile, Buds, he's on a fishing mission. Look at where most of EnVision is, and look at Buds. But in the back, looking for the pickoff, not gonna get it. Aid skating his way above and beyond. EnVision, they were hoping for Buds to get that pickoff to make this a little bit easier. Now they're just gonna go, okay, screw it. Everyone dive in, and you see OpTic diving back, but Rena wasn't able to get on time. He had a tactical visor in the moment. It's Buds and Shiny that clear the way through. Now, it's barrier coming out for OpTic. You're gonna have to see Smurf use Primal Rage and delay if they want to hold on. Not a tick has been given up here yet. Jaru, Blade in the back, looking for Ana. Doesn't get the final swipe! Smurf ends up taking him down, and now he can go back on. Primal Rage on the point, buy a little bit of room. Aid from the side, sound waves to Buds, and here comes OpTic once more. Primal Rage in action. I'm not even sure Smurf had to do it there. They were fine.
They were fine indeed, but still, you just want to be sure. There were just so many moments where it came close for EnVision, tipping it over in their favor. Jaru, if he could have just gotten one last slash down onto Gray, might have just ended it then and there. Buds even going aggressive on Serena, and in his tactical visor, he had his recall, didn't use it, fell, and then from there, OpTic Academy just went completely aggressive on them. We're able to pick apart EnVision, and so now it's down to 1 minute and 20 seconds. Buds trying to take this TVT, but Sharp pushing in on the tanks.
Okay, they have to know he's there. Eye Shiny, though, is a distraction. They're not looking at Buds, and oh no! You see the Primal Rage coming in from Shiny. He took away Buds' main targets, and yet it still might be fine. EnVision going through off of the distraction. Doesn't matter, then you get the pulse bomb kill because Jaru got 3 in the back.
Jaru able to open up this point for his team. I thought he was going to do it last fight because he got a great deflect off when Gray tried to go for the biotic nade. But somehow they were able to fight back in that. But it doesn't matter here, as we are moving on to the second phase of Numbani now. 3 minutes and 10 seconds for EnVision OpTic Academy. It's going to be coming down to Sharp here to try and delay them a bit because they did use a number of ultimates in that last fight. Gray also swapping over to the Zenyatta.
Gray moving to Zen, and Jaru taking serious poke damage for a moment. Topped right off.
Oh,
Sharp, wow. The combination, defeating Buds from the game. And now, those 2 key divers out of it, OpTic can reestablish themselves here on second and just throw EnVision back. And I don't think Sharp needed to throw a bomb there, but what is done is done.
Yeah, it's a pulse bomb. He'll build it up quickly enough. But it's going to be Jaru with this Blade now. OpTic, with that team fight win, they were able to buy some time, but Aid, he needs to get the sound barrier up. He needs to be really on point with that right click.
Aid is really close, but close might not be good enough. Gray down, Aid down! He could not drop the beat! A double strike from Buds and Jaru pierces through the back, and EnVision now in a great opportunity to just take second outright.
All right, there's almost no opportunity at this point for OpTic to come in for the contest, and so EnVision will get this. Buds even pushing up to try and catch anyone out, try to proxy with this Tracer now, but no one will come for the contest now. So, it's Jaru and Buds once again with their ultimates, but OpTic do have the tools to try and mitigate the damage that they do, especially with Jaru's Blade.
EnVision might be ready to do the flying V right now. Bash Brothers, Buds and Jaru working to the back. Pulse Bomb connects right to Gray. 1 threat down. There won't be a transcendence here. Jaru has to know that, especially because he's picked off. Crimzo might be down, but Jaru brings out the Blade. The equalizer perhaps in play. Looking for anything. Getting bopped around, and in fact, nothing is equal. You are simply back to spawn. OpTic holding on.
Yeah, Jaru has not been able to find the most opportune moments with those Blades, but it's also OpTic Academy doing a good job of kiting away from it and also disengaging from it. You see Aid along with Vol are able to use their abilities to create some distance between the Genji and themselves, and also focusing him down with the Winston, with Smurf, to make sure that he's not able to go for some really brazen slashes.
Rena on the verge there. Almost got taken down, just barely getting healed up in time. Sharp, though, while it was going on, snuck around the back, got fire. And the good thing about here for OpTic is they don't feed an extra person here. They can back out. They're getting poked down heavily from all ends, but just being down half HP is not dead. They can wait and save resources.
Save resources is going to be the name of the game here. EnVision are going to try and deplete them because they do want to just try and bait out the ultimates. They're coming up onto some key ones themselves. Crimzo now has the Transcendence. Jaru's working his way towards his blade. He's at 80%. Buds will have the Pulse Bomb. We'll see if he can open it up once again.
Buds under pressure in the back. Pulse Bomb out from Buds. Does not get what he's looking for. Your Seagray responds. The Transcendence in. OpTic on the fast break. Takedown 2. Sharp looking for a little bit more. Diva escapes his prey, but again, it's a clean sweep for OpTic, led by Gray's charge, and they don't have to invest anything else in that. They have a barrier for the next fight.
Yep, OpTic have been very aggressive and very coordinated in their defensive pushes so far. And so with that, holding on to everything except for that Transcendence, they are looking pretty, sitting into these next fights coming up from EnVision. EnVision, they haven't been able to bait out much from OpTic. OpTic have been really good with their trigger discipline now. They're taking a little bit of a different approach, our EnVision here. They take that mega health pack control. Now they're going to push out.
Well, Rena's been really aggro. He doesn't generally wait for a Transcendence. He just goes in and you will transcend around him. I would expect Rena to come in with the blade earlier than anything else. There's the barrier, and OpTic, they're going to wait. They don't use the blade immediately. Jaro waits for the barrier to fade and doesn't quite get a great engage here. Ends up being confused and ends up getting one before it's all said and done, but I don't know if that's going to be enough. But now, OpTic was a little bit in disarray. They're poked down on all ends. Vol and Sharp are very close to falling. And Sharp, even though he's working around the outskirts, it's Sharp against the world. The Pulse Bomb isn't going to do anything, and EnVision has broken through.
Yeah, in that last fight, Aid had actually started it off with the sound barrier to keep Smurf alive. But the thing is, Smurf, he had his Primal Rage. He could have used that to delay it a little bit longer. The EnVision were able to just wait out that sound barrier.
Vol has to open with the self-destruct here. You have to buy a little bit of time. He's going to let his mech get drained just a bit in the beginning. Rena's already down, so you need something big. Waiting, self-destruct out from EnVision first. Doesn't get what he's looking for. Vol still in the fight. He's actually being smart. He hasn't used it here just yet. He's buying time, gonna let Gray heal everyone up in the process, and OpTic is actually slowly but surely bringing more people up to the point. Overtime, about to be in progress, which is huge. And now, EnVision fighting for their lives. Blade out from Jaru, late into the fight, connects, gets at least one. Yet Vol still eternally alive, buying time, but for how much longer as EnVision tries desperately to push this one in.
Yeah, so they should be able to complete out this map, but as you had noted, most importantly, it's an overtime in OpTic Academy. Now they'll have 2 minutes and some change just to get a tick onto point A and try and get a map win here.
Well, this is one of two things, right? This is either going to be an easy first point, which should give them the map because, of course, EnVision, they do not get an attack because all their time was drained out, or this is an opportunity for complete despair as EnVision holds OpTic back for 2.5 minutes, and you end up going, oh my word, they actually did it on the defense. So OpTic, you should be feeling good, but there's sort of that 1% in the back of your mind going, wait, this could end horribly.
Yeah, and so EnVision, they're going to be running the same defensive line. They've got Fire once again on the Mercy, Crimzo on the Zenyatta. Last time, they tried to catch the dive, but got trapped themselves. They've got to be careful when they try to disengage from the dive out from OpTic.
Torbjorn, moonlighting as a window washer.
You just let Torbjorn wall climb, and this is the antics he gets into.
Let Torbjorn wall climb. Look, if we can get Torbjorn grappling where he just sends out his hammer and he just hooks it in like Batman, that'd be great.
Such great heights. So Smurf is going to swap off now over to the Winston. They're going to go, of course, typical dive, just the way they had started off here on Numbani. 1/3. That's all they need here on point A, and they've got 2 minutes and 39 seconds to get that done.
Remember, this is where Rena had a very good early strike in the very beginning. I don't think there's going to be a lot of chill to this OpTic offense. I think they're going to go straight in the beginning, because why wouldn't you? Get as many reps on the point as you can. Rena already looking to move in, deflection up. Where is Smurf right now? Is he going to go in? Now he's leading the way. Reno right behind. They force him back, and they get Jaru immediately. The dive from OpTic working out in the beginning. They've already taken down 2, and look at the point. It's almost there. They get it before EnVision can even dive back in. OpTic's early point in Numbani, very well coordinated.
We saw a lot of really excellent ult management from OpTic. Would you guys, I guess, kind of talk about how that works? Like, they were holding on at one point. They had 4 of their ults all just sitting there.
Well, just recognizing flow of the fight, right? Where if you get an early pickoff, maybe you don't need to expend more resources in. Maybe you don't need to be sure. Maybe you have faith that, hey, everything's going to be all right. And you actually saw that particularly in one fight in Numbani where they got an early pickoff. about most of OpTic was down to 50%, and no one panicked. They just said, okay, back out, don't do anything crazy, don't full dive and let someone die. Just, know what you have to do to win.
Yeah, also, Jaru so far on the Genji hasn't been as impactful with the blades, and so OpTic didn't have to really worry about it as much because they were doing a good job with the Lucio, with either Primal Rage Winston or the boosters coming out from D.Va, disengaging from that, so they don't have to answer with the Transcendence. Instead, they use a Transcendence to go aggressive and win the fight themselves. And so if you use one support ultimate and hold on to 5 to win out a fight, that is ultimate economy.
All right, well, we have some footage of a Genji, but it is not Jaru. It is our lovely Rin. Now, this is the first time that we've seen Rin in play, like you guys had mentioned. As far as like Rina's Genji versus Jaru's Genji versus all of these kind of top Genji players that we've been seeing, how do you see his gameplay stacking up right now?
I mean, Rina looked really, really good on the Genji, far better than he did in the first map. And for those who don't know, I mean, Rina is kind of an infamous player. I mean, he hasn't really taken competition too seriously in the past, but he is a player that, in terms of accomplishments, he'll casually was like, yeah, I got like 7, accounts in the top 10, no big deal. So he's historically been more of a ladder hero, but it's not a surprise though that the experience has given him a pretty darn good Genji in this situation.
But in that clip, I mean, that was what I was talking about. Generally, when you're trying to catch that dive on Numpani Point A, you don't retreat into that hallway, or you allow someone like Rina to come in with a dash, and it connects onto 4 people. That is just way too much damage to try and heal up. You also keep yourself left in a corner. You got the crossfire, Rina in the hallway. She's just throwing down shurikens while the tanks are just whittling down everyone else. You do not want to fall back into that hallway when you're trying to run that hold.
I have a kind of a strategy question for you guys, because we saw EnVision kind of over diving, you guys said, or chasing. When is it good to chase, and when do you need to know to fall back?
I mean, it's good to chase if you can get the kills and not be killed in the process.
But what are the yes, duh.
So,
but what are the guidelines for what do you look for and to say, okay, let's go for this guy?
I mean, you really do just feel out the situation. It's you look at it and go, am I going to get kicked in the gut if I go for this here? If the answer is no, you go in, and it's a complex decision based on what you're seeing, and you take it on a situational basis. And sometimes teams they don't have a back button, they decide to go in deeper, and they get punished.
Well, in that particular last push coming out from OpTic to get point A to get this map, a lot of teams, what they like to do is just try to jump off, dislodge the soldier, and then from there decide. Now, the great thing for OpTic was that McGravy on the opposite end, as the D.Va, did not fall back with the rest of the team, and that's when you have the go button there. You need the D.Va to stay in the back line to peel for your Lucio, for your Zenyatta, for your Soldier 76, but McGravy was way far out of position. That's why we saw them continue with the dive, did OpTic Academy, and then from there they were able to clean them up.
Another key point is also just the idea of, look, do you actually need those kills? If you've killed 2 people to begin with, you don't really have to overstagger. They're still not going to be able to come in and make it a reasonable fight. What teams do is that they have a fight won, the other team's retreating, and they get greedy, and that's where they really get punished.
All righty, well, we are going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we're going to be seeing more action between OpTic and EnVision, where right now they are tied 1-1 in this particular series. So stick around, and we'll see you soon.